The message shattered her. "I can't do this. I'm sorry." "It's over." The words glowed cold on Isla's phone screen, each one a dagger carving into her chest. She read them over and over, as if somehow they might change, as if it could all be undone by sheer disbelief. But Aiden didn't come. No explanation, no warning, just gone. Her breath came in short, sharp bursts as panic set in. Her heart thundered, her fingers trembled, and then the tears came hot, bitter, unstoppable. Bear, sensing her distress, pressed his heavy body against hers, his deep brown eyes never leaving her face. She clung to him, burying her sobs in his thick fur as the weight of betrayal crushed her. It wasn't just about Aiden. It was about everything. The bullying, the loneliness, the pain she'd kept bottled up for so long it felt like it had poisoned her from the inside out. For a brief, fragile moment, she had believed that someone saw her, that maybe, just maybe, she was worthy of love. And now, the next morning, Isla barely found the strength to get out of bed. Her mother, distracted and overworked, barely noticed her red-rimmed eyes. School felt like walking into a battlefield without armor. The stares were sharper, the whispers louder. It was as if everyone already knew. Somehow the vultures had caught wind of her broken heart, and they weren't done yet. That afternoon, as the final bell rang, Ayla made the mistake of walking home the usual way alone, with Bear trotting by her side. She should have known better. Should have sensed the danger before it descended. Savannah Blake and her venomous clique were waiting. They blocked her path at the edge of the parking lot, a smirk playing on Savannah's glossed lips. Her eyes glittered with cruel delight, and the others laughing, filming with their phones closed in like wolves. "Well, well," Savannah purred, crossing her arms. "Looks like the charity case finally got dumped. Guess even Aiden realized you're nothing." Isla's heart pounded. She gripped Bear's leash tightly, her knuckles white. "Leave me alone," she whispered, her voice barely audible, but Savannah wasn't interested in mercy. "Ah, is the freak gonna cry again? Maybe your little mutt can protect you. Oh wait, he's just a dumb dog, just like you." Something snapped. The shove came suddenly. Isla stumbled back as Savannah's perfectly manicured hands pushed her roughly, knocking her to the ground. The laughter exploded around her. One of the boys lifted his phone higher, filming everything as Savannah moved in for another round. That was the moment. Bear reacted. The German Shepherd's growl rumbled low and dangerous, sound primal enough to freeze them all mid-step. In an instant, Bear lunged forward, positioning himself between Isla and her attackers. His lips peeled back to reveal sharp teeth. His entire body vibrated with protective fury, his amber eyes locked on Savannah. The laughter died. Savannah shrieked, stumbling back, her bravado crumbling. The others followed suit, panic flashing across their faces as Bear's growls grew louder, deeper, warning them with every breath that he would not allow another touch. No one was physically harmed. Bear was too disciplined for that, but the message was crystal clear. Isla was no longer helpless. Not with him at her side. The girls fled, breathless and terrified, their phones still clutched uselessly in their hands. The video, however, was already out in the world. It spread like wildfire across social media that night, replayed again and again, the moment when the bullied new girl's dog defended her in front of the entire school. Some people called Isla a hero. Others painted her as dangerous. The town, as always, chose sides, but none of it mattered to Isla. Because the only person whose opinion she craved, the only boy she had allowed herself to trust, had abandoned her when she needed him most. The next evening, as the sun dipped low, painting the sky in bruised shades of purple and gold, Isla sat on her front porch, Bear resting his massive head in her lap. Her fingers moved mechanically through his thick fur, but her mind was elsewhere, numb, distant, lost. That's when her phone vibred a message. One that wasn't from Aiden but about him. He didn't leave you because he wanted to. He was forced. Confusion flooded her. Her heart thudded painfully. Another text followed seconds later. Meet me. I'll tell you everything. And just like that, the ground shifted beneath her feet once more. The betrayal she thought she understood was only the beginning. For the first time in weeks, Isla felt something she hadn't felt in what felt like forever. Hope. It started with small moments. Quiet glances across the cafeteria. Accidental brushes of hands when reaching for the same book in the library. And most of all, the way Aiden Westbrook, the school's golden boy, spoke to her like she mattered. Like she was seen. Isla didn't understand it at first. Why would someone like Aiden, handsome, popular, from one of the richest families in Crestview, pay attention to the girl everyone else laughed at? The girl with tear-streaked cheeks and a massive German shepherd who never left her side? But Aiden kept showing up. One afternoon, as she sat alone under a tree near the football field, sketching quietly while Bear dozed beside her, Aiden approached. She tensed immediately, expecting mockery, but instead, he offered her the gentlest smile she'd ever seen. Mind if I sit? He asked softly. She nodded, too surprised to speak. Bear raised his head, sniffing the air before relaxing again. Somehow, the dog seemed to approve. They talked. About small things at first school, books, music. Aiden wasn't at all what she imagined. He was funny, thoughtful, and there was something in his storm gray eyes that told her he wasn't the golden boy everyone believed him to be. There were cracks in his polished surface. And as the days passed, Isla found herself drawn to those cracks. Each conversation became a balm to her bruised heart. They met in secret corners of the school, shared inside jokes, exchanged smiles that made her cheeks flush. She felt the first flutter of butterflies she thought she'd never feel again. And one evening, when Aiden walked her home, his fingertips brushing hers in the soft dusk, Isla felt something shiver inside her chest. When he leaned in, hesitating just inches from her lips, she whispered, "Why are you being nice to me?" Aiden's eyes darkened with something unspoken. "Because I see you," he murmured. "I know what it feels like. To pretend you're fine when you're falling apart inside." And then he kissed her. Soft, hesitant, sweet. It was her first real kiss since her world had shattered. And for a moment, it made her forget the whispers, the cruelty, the weight she carried. But the shadows of Crestview weren't done with her. Behind the sweet smiles and stolen moments, a storm was brewing. Because Savannah Blake, the icy queen of Crestview High, had noticed. And Savannah didn't like losing. She and Aiden had history. More than anyone knew. Their families were intertwined through generations of business, money, and whispered expectations. Aiden had been hers once, and in her mind, he always would be. The bullying, which had momentarily eased, returned with venom. Isla found herself pushed against lockers. Her name was scribbled in crude slurs on bathroom stalls. Her social media filled with anonymous threats. Savannah's cruelty grew more sophisticated, more personal. And still, Aiden stood by her until the day everything unraveled. Happened. When Isla, desperate and tearful, finally opened up to Aiden fully. They sat together at the old park near her house, Bear stretched out lazily at their feet. Isla's voice trembled as she told him everything. The bullying, the loneliness, the way she sometimes felt like she was drowning. Aiden's hands trembled as he cupped her face, brushing away her tears. "You're not alone anymore," he whispered. "I won't let them hurt you." In that moment, she believed him. They shared another kiss, deeper this time, passionate, breathless. The kind that leaves your heart racing long after it ends. But while Isla was falling slowly, beautifully, Aiden was fighting a battle she couldn't see. At home, his father cold, ruthless Mr. Westbrook had discovered everything. The texts, the late-night calls, the fact that his only son was falling for the wrong girl. "You'll end it," Mr. Westbrook growled, slamming his fist onto the mahogany desk, "or I'll ruin her and her mother and everything you think you care about." Aiden felt the walls close in, his heart torn in two. The boy who wanted to be free, and the dutiful son his family demanded he be. The next day, Isla found herself waiting. She sat at their usual spot, her heart hopeful, Bear at her side. Aiden never came. Instead, her phone lit up with a single message. "I can't do this. I'm sorry. It's over." Her world shattered all over again. And Bear simply leaned into her, pressing his weight against her trembling body as she broke in silence. But the story wasn't over. Not yet. Isla Collins never wanted to come here. She sat in the back seat of her mother's old sedan, staring out at the endless blur of gray skies and unfamiliar streets as they drove toward the new town, their so-called fresh start. The pain of her parents' divorce still clung to her like wet clothes she couldn't peel off. Every argument, every slammed door, every broken promise had carved itself deep into her heart until she felt hollow inside. This place, Crestview, was supposed to be different. But Isla knew better. Small towns weren't made for people like her, quiet, bookish, and burdened by scars no one could see. She was the outsider, and she felt it in her bones the moment she stepped into Crestview High. The halls buzzed with the kind of shallow energy only teenagers could generate. The popular girls looked her up and down with smirks, their eyes sharp as knives. The boys whispered behind their hands, casting glances that made her skin crawl. No one smiled. No one said hello, except for the ones who would soon make her life unbearable. By lunchtime, her name was already on their lips, Isla, the new girl, and not in the way she hoped. Whispers followed her wherever she went. Snickers when she walked past. Someone even accidentally knocked her books from her hands. She picked them up with shaking fingers, her heart pounding, pretending it didn't hurt, but it did. That first week felt endless. By Friday, they'd escalated. Nasty notes stuffed in her locker, tripping her in the hall. Laughter ringing in her ears as she blinked back tears. But what they didn't know, what none of them could have guessed, was that Isla wasn't entirely alone. Waiting for her at home was Bear, her enormous German shepherd with a coat the color of midnight and Fazavatzen, eyes like molten gold. He was her protector, her shadow, her only comfort in a world that felt cold and sharp. Bear had been there through it all, the screaming matches between her parents, the long nights spent crying in her room, the day her father walked out and never came back. And now, in this unfamiliar town, he was her anchor, the one creature she trusted without question. Each day, Isla would come home from school, her heart bruised and her spirit worn thin, and Bear would be there waiting, his massive head resting on her lap as she wept into his thick fur. He seemed to understand everything, her sadness, her loneliness, the way her hands trembled when she spoke. One evening, after an especially cruel day when Savannah Blake, the queen bee of Crestview, had spilled orange juice all over her books while the others laughed, Isla broke down completely. She collapsed onto her bed, burying her face in Bear's fur, sobbing until her voice cracked. "Why are they like this?" she whispered into the quiet. "What did I ever do to them?" Bear nudged her gently, his deep brown eyes filled with something she swore was empathy. But she wasn't the only one watching. Unbeknownst to her, someone had noticed. Someone who, like her, was hiding behind carefully constructed masks. His name was Aiden Westbrook. He was the boy everyone admired, the charming football player with smoldering gray eyes and a half-smile that made girls blush. But beneath the surface, Aiden carried his own burdens, secrets that weighed him down. A family legacy built on lies and control. He saw Isla sitting alone beneath the bleachers one afternoon, her knees pulled to her chest as she traced circles in the dirt. And something in him shifted. Maybe it was the way her eyes looked sad even when she smiled, or the quiet strength she carried despite the cruelty around her. Or maybe it was the haunting way she spoke to her German shepherd like he was the only soul in the world who truly understood her. For reasons he couldn't explain, Aiden felt drawn to her. He didn't even realize he was watching her as much as he was until Savannah made another cruel joke in the hallway. And instead of laughing along like the others, he felt sick to his stomach. He couldn't unsee her, and Isla, guarded, bruised, and fragile, had no idea her life was about to change forever.